begin our meeting this evening, and I'll ask Commissioner Akmus if he'll provide our invocation. Pledge
You'll bow your heads. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this time that we can come together. Father, we pray that you will lead, guide, and direct all the county's work that we are here to do tonight. We pray that you'll undergird our safety and emergency preparedness officers, our military officers, both serving foreign and abroad. As I say, Lord, please lead, guide, and direct all that we do. May it be pleasing to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll begin tonight with our employee recognition. With 10 years of service, Serena Choka with Register of Deeds, Crystal Crump with the Register of Deeds, Marion Hogan with the Register of Deeds, and Pauline LaCour with the Sheriff's Office. With 15 years service, we have Brian Griffin at the Sheriff's Office and Barbara Laney with the Tax Administration. I'd like to extend our appreciation to these individuals for their service to our county these numbers of years. Next, I have the privilege of presenting recognition to one of our very own. Commissioner Akmus, it's always a pleasure to share with a peer, but it's even better to be able to share with a friend. I thank you for everything.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
thank you for your service as chairman. Okay, informal comments. Informal comments, each speaker. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. First, we're going to condemn. I got out of order. Apologize. We're going to have a public hearing.
Yes.
And,
If Mr. Platay with Economic Development will please come forward, and what he'll do is give the board a brief overview of this particular project that we're conducting the hearing on.
Thank you. Chairman Helms, Commissioners, Manager Cota, it's my pleasure to bring before you tonight an Economic Development Incentive request by Scott Safety for a Step 3 incentive grant. Scott has been located in Union County within the city of Monroe since the 1950s and currently has 600 employees. They manufacture life safety equipment used by firefighters, industrial, and military first responders. The parent corporation, Tyco International, is considering building improvements and new machinery and equipment in this location or 2 other global sites for the purpose of expanding their innovative product offerings. Monroe has been shortlisted and is the only U.S. location remaining. A decision is expected no later than January of next year. If Union County is selected, the anticipated new taxable investment in building and equipment will be approximately between $21 and $28 million. This potential expansion will strengthen the stability of Union County's location and its retention of the current 600 employees. While the incentive does not require job creation, this project has a potential of creating an additional 67 jobs with an average of $65,000 per year. The company began conversations with our office earlier this year with the potential expansion, regarding the potential expansion, and has indicated that incentives are a key decision factor for the parent company. Monroe Union County Economic Development Board of Advisors have discussed this project at their November 20th regular meeting, and we bring this incentive to you tonight with their full support. Based on the investment of $21 million, the incentive will not exceed $451,500 over a 5-year grant period. Each annual payment will have a maximum amount of $90,300. Based on its projected investment in Union County, the current tax rate, and assuming a consistent assessed value with no depreciation, the company will pay an estimated ad valorem tax of $799,470 on the new taxable investment over that same grant period. The actual tax revenue to the county will be based on the assessed value and the investment each year, depending on the depreciation schedule and the timing of the investments. The City of Monroe also approved an incentive grant tonight, or earlier this afternoon, at a special called meeting. That was for $466,300. This project also achieves a cost-benefit analysis ratio of 5.26 to 1 over the first 5 years, and 8.77 to 1 over the first 10 years of the project. That, again, as we've discussed, is high for a project. So we want to see numbers around the 3 to 1 ratio. So this is a very good return on investment for the taxpayers. Therefore, the Monroe Union County Economic Development Board of Advisors and staff recommend the award of this performance-based economic development incentive grant to Scott Safety not to exceed $451,500 over a 5-year period beginning in fiscal year 2017. I'd now like to introduce to you Ms. Jessica McNeilis, Plant Manager of Scott Health and Safety, so she can answer any questions that you may have about the project.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for this opportunity. We appreciate the investment in our facility, and I can help answer any questions that you have.
Any question? I think y'all have demonstrated being an outstanding citizen of our community, and we appreciate what you do for us. Thank you. Okay. And we have had no one to sign up to speak on the public hearing, so therefore I will move to close the public hearing. Next, go back to our informal comments. And each speaker must address the board from the lectern and begin their remarks by giving their name, stating whether they are residents of Union County, indicating the municipality within they reside, if any, and stating the topic about which they intend to speak. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to make remarks. A speaker may not yield any of his or her time to another speaker. Speakers may not discuss matters which are subject of public hearings, and they must be courteous in their language and presentation. Reinstatements or repetitive comments by the same speaker with the same or separate meetings may be ruled out of order and terminated by the chair. Personal attacks will not be tolerated, and speakers may leave written comments or supporting documents, if any, with the assistant county manager seated to your right. We have one person signed up, Pinky Marsh.
My name is Pinky Marsh from Marshall, North Carolina. I know your rules and all that stuff, but y'all know I don't pay them any attention, so let's go from there. Tonight I was told it was time for me to come and speak back in July. And y'all wonder who told me to come and speak. What I could speak on. I said, what you want me to tell? Anything that you can prove. I said, are you sure? Anything I can prove? Anything that you can prove, you can speak on it. So I was kind of reluctant back in July, and I have really dreaded this day. I will tell you, Mr. Bundy, I really dreaded this meeting tonight. I really dreaded this speech. I have put it off several times. I've used excuses not to be here. Y'all, if y'all really knew what I did know, what was going on here, I don't know whether any of you would be sitting up there or not. I don't understand why some of you are even still here. You know, Mr. Bundy, I was asked, I'm going to tell you something. Of all the things that happened, you played right in my hand in the law when you took on Jay Brown's case. You remember in my deposition, okay, what I'm going to tell you tonight is something that you can arrest me for, but y'all scared to arrest me. You can't do anything to me. I'm not above the law. No one is above the law, but some people are beyond the law. You ain't got to stand up. I ain't going to do nothing. But you remember asking me, I was asked, Mr. Martian, you're not filing any, we only got 2007 your tax return. I said, that's right. He said, you're not gonna file any more? I said, why? I said, I ain't filing. He said, you're not gonna file any more? I said, yes, as soon as you take me in the courtroom. So when we left that day, Mr. Bundy, my attorney, when we walked out for him to move his car and then we come back in, I asked him, I said, are you not gonna ask me why I'm filing income tax? Well, yeah, because it kind of shook him up too. I said, for the very simple reason, our legal system here in Union County, the first thing they did, because of the corruption that was involved to run my business, I file income tax, and you're going to say, I give you a price, and you're going to say that it's without merit, because I filed for a lawsuit. I didn't file for a lawsuit over money. I said, as soon as they'll do that, they'll beat me in the court without merit. Guess what you got Jay Brown on? He beat you in court 3 times. But as soon as you got a judge, he give you a price and you rule without merit. But that wasn't the dang worst one. That wasn't the worst one. When we went to mediation, you can cut that off, because I'm gonna finish this. I was told to come and finish it. When I went to mediation, Mr. Bundy, you told me, said, y'all kept asking me what do I want. I found out from attorney Sunday at the rodeo, he said, you scared everybody to death. Because when we went to mediation, you kept asking me what I wanted. Give you a price. I'm the one suing you. I said, I'm not suing you over any money. I want a fair day in the court. I want to go in front of 12 men and women. I want all of you to testify. I want everybody to have to testify. The corruption in this county goes so bad that the cover-up to where you got is even worse than that. In order to get to the federal courtroom, remember I told you I will fight my own case in the courtroom because I was pushed to do certain things. I found out. Which would you rather have now, Mr. Bundy? The dealer, the little drug dealer that you walk with through the court dates, the court revolving doors, or you want the money launderer? I'm your money launderer, and you know I was forced to. Oh, by the way, all this is videoed, so if y'all want to do anything to me, because I am just as terrified for my life as everybody else is in my community over this corruption, over the triple murder that you cannot investigate properly. You sent an investigator to see me a year ago this past September. He sat down with me and he looked at me and he said, Mr. Marsh, I'm scared. I said, what you scared for? He said, I think I've been set up.
Appreciate your time, Peaky. Next, we'll address addition, deletions, and/or adoption of the agenda. And I'd like to start off by when we need to delete the consent agenda, item 6A.4, MCC 7500 radio console, and consent agenda, item 6A.5, ALI gateway and additional positions for the 911 backup center. I'd like to remove those from consent agenda. Is there any other additions, deletions?
Move that we accept the consent agenda.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? None. Okay. Do I have a
Motion to accept the agenda.
yep. Motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? None. And our next item is old business, Kensington Drive. Ms. Coto?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. You've had this on your agenda now for the last 2 meetings, and we're happy to report that the town of Waxhaw has completed their discussions with Wells Fargo, in which the town is going to be accepting the roadway that presently is on 12 Mile Creek property, our wastewater treatment plant. I believe the arrangement is that Wells Fargo is going to provide the town with the resources to bring the road up to an acceptable condition. The town is going to take over maintenance of the road, which addresses the issue that we had from a liability perspective. County Attorney Bundy has worked with the town council of Waxhaw in amending our interlocal agreement, in which we have on the agenda this evening to turn the road over to Waxhaw. And Mr. Bundy is available for any questions that you all may have.
Okay, is there any questions for Mr. Bundy? Do I have a motion?
Authorize the county manager to approve the interlocal agreement between the town of Waxhaw and Union County conveying 18.571 acres to the town of Waxhaw. Sign the deed of property and other necessary documents relating to the transfer of the property pending legal review.
All right, is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed. Move on to our new business. Item number 8, Scott, safety for step 3, economic development incentive grant in the amount not to exceed $451,500 over a 5-year period. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion. I spent many years here and on the 5th floor looking out the window at what used to be some of that property, and have always been an outstanding corporate citizen, and participated in Union County and our community, and I, with bells on, ask that we approve this motion.
Thanks, sir. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Congratulations. Next, we have a commission appointment to Yadkin River Water Supply Project Advisory Board. And actually, we're requesting is to appoint Commissioner Lance Simpson and Commissioner Jerry Simpson to the Yadkin River Water Project. This is referred to more as Norwood, right?
Right, we know it as
Project.
Norwood,
Yeah.
yes.
So I'll make that motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None, no opposed. Item number 10, Vice Chair Rushing has brought a policy proposal to us. And if you'll expound on that, please, sir.
Yeah, if you will, who's here to help me with the screen? How does it work?
Have you got it
There it goes.
preloaded?
He heard you talk.
Dang, I kind of hate slowing things down. It's going so good.
You better make it quick.
We'll make it quick. One thing that we've heard and in our orientation that we had with county staff with Commissioner Lance Simpson and I was some of the roadblocks to commercial development and growth, and having the county commissioners being a partner. And we want to partner with our towns to be able to do great things for everyone in the county. So that brought in the sewer policy discussion, which I talked a little bit during the campaign, and wanted to ask staff, I guess, for some direction, and just had a little presentation to show you what we're talking about. Let's see. Okay, they've done something here that's not working. Hang on, it might be off. There it is. Okay, in Union County, a lot of people, we talk about growth and what kind of control the county commissioners have over growth. But if you look at the county-owned sewer lines, the green area is what we actually control as far as zoning. Very big chunk of the county, but not a lot of where the sewer lines actually are. Our Union County municipalities, we have 14 municipalities, and they basically choose their zoning. They're going to choose how each want to grow. If you notice those black lines there, that's our sewer lines in the county. They're out there now. And if you look at the county-owned service, it's concentrated in Western Union County. Now, you see the city of Monroe, it has sewer lines, but those sewer lines, of course, are owned by the city of Monroe, so they're not reflected in this map. Indian Trail, Stallings, Lake Park, and Hemi Bridge, you have a lot of the subdivisions located mostly inside the municipalities. The zoning there, the higher density zoning usually is provided by the municipality. Hardly anything inside the county, in county jurisdictions, which are white in these in this slide. Marvin, Weddington, Waxhaw, Wesley Chapel, and Mineral Springs. You see some of the same. You notice how Weddington, very little sewer actually inside the town of Weddington. I was talking to somebody earlier and on the staff that said, I really thought Weddington would have more sewer lines, and they just don't. They choose to grow in a different way, and so does Mineral Springs. You have a similar situation there. But Marvin, Waxhaw, Wesley Chapel, you see more sewer line owned by the county. And then you also see a mixture in the unincorporated areas. You see up in the top left-hand corner, you see Somerset, Hunter Oaks, and some other subdivisions that are actually in county jurisdiction. Then Fairview and Unionville, very little sewer at all, mostly R40, very little high-density growth. Then Wingate, Marshville, and again Monroe, they control their sewer lines. There's a little bit of county sewer above those, but the sewer lines inside those cities are controlled by them. And then what can the Board of County Commissioners actually do to legally manage growth? And over the years, we've talked about these different things. Zoning is one, but we only zone in the unincorporated areas, those areas that were in green earlier. And then our ordinances, we could use ordinances to do things, but a countywide ordinance affects slow growth areas and rural areas the same as high growth areas, while the municipalities are not affected by those. And then we have the sewer policy. And the sewer policy, the Board of County Commissioner, we vote on expansion, condemnations, plant location, permitting, and other decisions. There are some decisions that are made by the Board of County Commissioners, but what decisions, how we use those decisions can go a long ways toward working with our municipalities and actually truly partnering with them. The Union County Water and Sewer Extension Policy was developed on 1/6/97. We own the basic facilities of the sewer and water. The water and sewer wastewater facilities shall become and remain the property of the county. So that means, and under that gives us the authority to control. Isn't that correct, Jeff? That's where we would that's where the Board of County Commissioners will have those vote to expand. And
county pursuant to ordinance now requires those lines be dedicated to the county for ownership residing in the county after constructed.
Okay.
But that's by ordinance. Since
Right.
the adoption.
Okay. And then we have the policy, and a lot of people ask, well, how do I get sewer? How do I go through the process? And then there's a submission of letter of intent to the Public Works Director, and then at the end of all the planning and everything else, the Public Works accepts that permit request, correct?
Yes, sir. I just hesitate a little bit because the county has adopted water and sewer extension ordinance.
Okay.
I think that it's supplanted the policy that you're referring to.
Okay.
Some of the provisions will be-
So these are the ones, again, at the end of the discussion, then that's what we need to come back and ask. Yeah. And then, it also talks about, if there's any excess use, for example, if you have a project, maybe like a project that would use a lot of water or sewer in the processing or whatever, then there could be some actually extra charges for excess impact. And then, we look at how much sewer capacity is going to be needed for additional school facilities. Will the development use the facilities and capacity currently allocated or require new capacity from Union County? How much will that cost? Who will pay? Did the public schools still pay for their sewer connections, and do they pay? Is there a line item in their utilities? Who does the municipality? They don't have anything in control of the sewer or in the school construction. And then the enterprise water and sewer customers, they probably would not pay for that school to be able to get sewer, and then the developer would not pay probably for the school to get sewer. And this is what we're looking at. These are the basic questions: is can the Board of Education and the Board of County Commissioners actually be included when we look at expanding a sewer to a place in a municipality where you're going to change the zoning? Right now, if it's in the county and it's zoned R40, and a municipality takes it in, they can go to whatever zoning they choose to, and it could be much higher density than what we actually allow. And when they do that, then we still have to provide the school facilities, and we have to provide the resources outside of what the municipality provides. So is there a way of partnering and bringing the Board of Education and the Board of County Commissioners into that discussion, where it's not just the town that makes the decision, but actually we work with them in order to provide that sewer to make it capable to go to the higher density zoning? Is it legal? And there was a precedent set, I think, in 2006. We were asked to approve additional permits in a project in Indian Trail. And Union County does own the resource, just as we can't go to another county or government body and force them to provide water or sewer for us. Is it a resource that we own as the county? And if it is, then can we utilize that ownership to bring people to the table? And all Union County taxpayers are responsible for providing services such as school, public safety, and et cetera, not just the municipal residents. And in conclusion, for many years, the candidates for BOCC and even when we were on, we've always looked for ways to manage growth better. But we haven't had much input in the process. When most of our sewer is located in municipalities, we just haven't had a lot of say in the zoning in those. We need to find a way to protect property rights while facilitating substantial growth, sustainable growth. We need a true partnership with our towns and the BOE to properly plan for this sustainable growth as well. Without cooperation and planning, we're on a course to repeat those past mistakes. When growth starts going really strong again like we had before, it would be great to have a process in place where we can talk to the towns and bring everybody to the table. And strict budgeting that you guys that have been on the board for the past few years has brought us through some tough economic times. You've done a great job at managing our budget. And if we also add countywide planning, I think great things could be accomplished. Sewer resources, they protect our open space, they protect wildlife habitat, and they allow high density growth where we can have those open spaces. And we should and must continue to utilize sewer to promote a healthy community. So, by no means is this a way of stopping sewer, but it is just a planning tool that I feel like we can use. And so the question would be, and I would make the motion that, that just ask staff that we review and see what we are capable of doing as far as when it's concerning the municipalities, what we are limited to and what we are allowed to do in working that sewer resource. Do I need to make that a shorter motion, Lynn? Okay, motion would be to direct staff to tell us what is legal and is not legal concerning sewer policy and municipalities.
Okay, Vice Chair Russian, may I ask that, I see Mr. Gusecki out here. Do you have anything you'd like to add to the discussion? I know I have a question or two I'd like to ask, and you possibly can answer.
I really have nothing else to add to the discussion. Just as Mr. Crook mentioned earlier, we do have a water and sewer line extension ordinance that was adopted by the board that addresses many of the issues that were brought up in the old policy from '97, and actually takes a lot more extensively than the old policy did. But certainly, if there's any technical questions, I can answer, happy to do so.
I have one. Is there a formula for volume for different zoning? For example, you got an R40, you expect a 5-bedroom home, have so much volume, so you can calculate, so we don't get in the situation we had back in 2006 where we allocated more volume than we had capacity for.
Yes, there is. When we did our master plan in 2010, adopted by the board in 2011, we used some general planning parameters that said if it's residential development of R40, we can expect this level of development on that property that will generate these many gallons of sewer per acre as compared to commercial, as compared to higher density. So we did look at the existing land use plans with each of the municipalities as part of our master plan. So we met with each of those towns and cities, reviewed with them their land use plans, reviewed with them other development issues, water sewer issues they may have, and took that information as well as our own land use plan for unincorporated. And that was the land use plan we then looked at and said, okay, for the next 20 years, we start developing, according to that plan, what kind of water and sewer capacity needs will we have? And it's based upon that analysis that we came up with the capital improvement program that was outlined in that master plan that was adopted by the board 2 years ago, and the CIP was adopted by the board. So we have looked at what the current land use plans are in the municipalities and the county, and are moving to make sure we have that capacity in place to meet those needs.
And I think that, with what you're saying is that we're looking at, do we have the capacity for sewage and wastewater treatment? But, the capacity for the other things that are going to come along with that, for example, schools and other things, that's not part of the planning process right now with Public Works, right? Because that's not your job.
We're not in the business of making sure there's enough schoolrooms available.
Right, and I think that's what it's, again, back to what it's about, is being able to get ahead of these and actually plan for those schools to be available as well, either whether there needs to be construction or if we need expansion of current facilities. And I think by including the school system and the Board of Commissioners in that, and along with the town and the Public Works Department, we can come up with a little bit better plan. More plan. Any plan would be better than just reacting to what happens. And here's a story from this week's Carolina Weekly newspaper group, and it's quoting the mayor or the pro tem of Weddington when he says, "If a developer can get water and sewer from Union County Public Works, we're kind of stuck with that." Mayor pro tem Don Titherington said, "These are issues where you need to reach out to Tommy Tucker and Craig Horn because we agree with you on these issues." So basically they're saying, if the developer can go and get it from Public Works, that even their hands are tied. And he's right in this situation because he's got a R40 lots. So he actually has 48 lots on 58 acres, so even less than R40. But that land, if it doesn't perk, then it's unbuildable. And I think there's going to be a pump station, I believe, put there. So those are the kind of situations that if we talk about, that you're protecting that person's property right if it's R40, and that's what we want to do. We want to protect somebody's property right who can build by right. But when a town maybe takes in and doubles or triples, that 48 acres could have been 232 lots, and they're complaining about the 48 acres. So it is something we need to look at and use it to bring, I think, a tool to bring everybody to the table just for better planning, not to stop it, but to plan and get ahead of it and understand where we're going, because you've got a firm grasp on it, on what your part is. And the schools, I think that they need a little bit better warning or communication, and we need to understand what they're going to have to do. And that's what we're looking for. It's not a way of stopping it, it's a way of planning for it when it comes. And you guys, again, Public Works, from everything I'm hearing from the manager, doing a wonderful job of that. This is not a question of whether you're doing a good job or not. It's just a question of what we can do to bring everybody to the table.
Thank you, Ed. Any further discussion?
I guess I'm a little confused. So are we asking for legal advice as far as what we can do, or are we asking for a partnership with the Board of Education and the municipalities?
Well, the question is how do we, what can the Board of County Commissioners what control do we have over sewer policy? Do we have control? Because there's some misconceptions there's some thought
Sewer
out there.
policy for who?
For Union County on sewer lines.
We have control over that.
That's what I'm sure of too, but there are people.
Not?
There are people in the community that, this is, I guess, with zoning in the municipalities, that they can rezone, and we have to provide the sewer for them. Do we have to provide R40, or do we have to provide R20, or what do we have, how much do we have to provide? By right, I would think if somebody built in the county, would build R40, and they would have that. And if they go and take it into a town and go to R20, does the county have to provide the sewer taps for R20, or can we do it for R40?
Okay, so what I hear you say, then you want to be able to override the municipality.
No, want to be able to plan with them to
But
get
what if they
ahead of
don't
that.
want to plan with us?
Then
So
we
you want to be able to override them?
no, just they'll get R40 taps. They'll get enough taps for R40, and is that
But that's not what
legitimate?
they asked for. If they ask for R20,
Well, the town doesn't ask for anything. The developer does.
but if the town approves
R20.
right?
We
And you're
can-
saying you're gonna override them
No, we
and give them
can,
R40?
we can limit their, asking if we can limit their sewer service to R40 until we have things in place to handle the higher density. And is that allowed by law? That's the question. I really have and we talked about this in orientation, which it was a thing where we're going to have to research, I think, and find out what our abilities to do are.
Can I make a suggestion, please? I think you were looking for guidance. I know that we have had excellent, we do it 2 commissioners at a time, meet with utilities and discuss these things and let them explain what the capabilities are. I don't think we're going to resolve it here at the commission, but let's examine what Vice Chair Rushing is asking, have discussions, and then come back at a later date. Is that reasonable, Ed? The way we discussed the basin and everything, that was very beneficial to understanding. And we've got,
And I think
two new members that hadn't had the privilege of that yet.
And I think really what I think it's not to say that we're it's not necessarily even say we're trying to tell what the towns what they can and can't do with their zoning. It's honestly just what is our capabilities of managing the resource that we own. Do we have to provide it to them, or do we have to provide it to them in a certain time? There were some questions in the community that we had to give it to them, that we couldn't deny anybody. And you shouldn't want to. You shouldn't use this as a, you win, you lose type thing. But if we don't have the facilities in place, if it is going to be a huge burden to do that. For example, if somebody took commercial property and rezoned it to R20, is that in the best interest of the county and our economic development engine? Or should we ask them not to do that? And should we request that they not do that? Are we able to, do we have any ground to stand on? And if we don't, then I'm fine with that too, but I want to know that. I just want to know, and I want the people to know that. I want to know what we have control over and what we don't have control over. So I'd appreciate a vote yes on this, because like I said, it's just for information really, to be able to come back and let us know and the people know if we're allowed to truly manage that resource that we own, or if it's by, or is it required that we give it by rights now that we have it? Because it will dictate how we grow.
Are you looking for the staff to review to find out whether we can limit it to R40?
Yes.
And then what they do beyond that would be subject to what they have to do and come back to the board for
Yes.
further approval?
Yes, subject to further approval.
If I may clarify, Commissioner Rushing, when you place the item on the agenda, I think you had several specific questions that are in the board summary. I want to make sure that we appropriately address the issues. Are those what you would like us to look into, those 4? And just sort of the general question was, what control does the Board of Commissioners have over sewer policy? And the specific questions related to particular zoning. Is that right?
Yes, can the county limit the sewer to R40 or commercial, even when municipalities rezone the property? Can the BOE and the BOCC be consulted for availability of school capacity before approving additional allocation? So not the primary allocation of R40, but the additional allocation of R20 or whatever they take it to. And then whenever the density goes greater than R40, can we be consulted on that before that happens?
I'll be glad to look into those issues.
Would you say the intent of this is to ensure, and I know you lived during that time when we ran out of sewer capacity, to ensure
Yes.
that we don't get
Well,
ourselves in that situation again? Is that a fair statement?
And I think a lot of that's been addressed from what the manager Coda has told me. The law that's already been addressed. I think where it comes from is the people really do believe that we have control over all the county and what goes on in the county, and that's been maybe a common perception for years. But really, we don't have a lot of the control of where the growth is happening, and we are basically reacting. So how do we stop reacting and start being more proactive in planning, where we know, and if it goes to R20 and they know that they can start with the R40 and then come to us and talk about, what are we going to do to facilitate the schools, the other things that of course the Board of Education is going to have to be involved in. That would help us a lot, because there are very few sewer taps like you saw in Weddington area and Wesley Chapel. There's some, In Mineral Springs, very few, but they'll get to be more. But again, we have no control over, what goes on there. If we're just the middleman, we're just kind of the go-between between the developer and the Public Works right now. Should we take a more proactive approach to planning once we see those come through, and if we actually have a say in that, will that help or not? Will that help us, and will that help the people in the county understand how we're growing better?
Can I get additional clarification from Mr. Kosicki? When you did the planning for the long term, it was based on R40, correct?
It's based upon the current land use plans adopted by the municipalities and by the county.
Okay.
So whatever was on those land use plans.
So then if I could add to Commissioner Rushing's proposal, is not only look at how it would impact the schools, but how any rezoning and sewer allocation requests would affect the long-term plans for Public Works. Because if it's based on R40 on current land use plans, if those land use plans change as a result of rezoning at the municipalities, how does that affect our long-term plans from a usage and allocation and our capital improvement plan?
Are we not getting ready to update, are we not looking at a 5-year update to our master plan?
We're actually updating it in pieces. We've already started an update on the wastewater, looking at the Crooked Creek and more of the eastern part of the county, and the board approved tonight on consent agenda a water master plan update to look at really the changes in terms of our Yadkin water supply project and the impacts. We do have a plan to look at the entire master plan on a 5-year basis, where we would go in and update population flow projections. We do that, we've done that already as part of our Yadkin water supply project. We had to take the master plan numbers and update that as part of the environmental impact statement. So we do go through a periodic process of looking at land use, looking at population growth, looking at our assumptions that drove that master plan, and try to keep those as current as possible. But our plan is, at least on a 5-year basis, to do a formal update of the entire plan.
And I see this as, he brings up a good point. I kind of see it as helping you too, because if it's it's based on R40 now, if it's taken in and quadrupled the number of lots they're on that, then you're going to need to know that too, and you're going to be able to better plan for that, because that's taken away from the plan. You're actually going 4 times what would have been on the plan. And we have no control over going to the 4 times.
What's based on R40?
Our zoning.
All of our zoning is based on R40?
A lot of it, not a.
I'm not, I don't see our planning director
It's not here
but,
tonight.
Again, we look at whatever is on our current land use
Current
plan,
land
what was ever on the municipality's land use plan. So to the extent there was R40, that's what we assume for the development. To the extent it was commercial or higher density in their plans adopted by those towns and municipalities, that's the document we work from.
So, and it's really not affecting what they have, I guess, inside their city limits either, what they currently have. It's just if they decide to take in a big tract, a big farm, and they're going to quadruple the number of homes that are built on it, then we would get information on it, the schools would get information on it, and we could talk about it. We could, maybe ask to stagger the development. We could talk to them about different issues like that. But if we don't have a legal leg to stand on, there's no reason to talk about any of it. And that's the question. Do we have that ability in the beginning? And whether we vote to even do that or not later on, we just really need to know what we can and can't do first.
You want to restate it one more time, and then I think unless there's any further discussion.
Yeah. Do you want it stated like it's on the action request?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay. Action request is make a motion to review the request made by Commissioner Rushing and provide direction to staff on research proposal and reporting back to the county commissioners. And, is it legal to, do we have a legal ground to stand on of maintaining the current zoning for sewer, even though it's annexed by town and rezone?
County and municipalities.
What?
The county and for the municipalities, the zoning.
Yes. Of course, we have our control of our zoning, so we could control zoning and everything there through the board, but it would be mainly municipality.
I'm sorry, but I got to ask again. So you want to know if we can legally override a municipality zoning?
I want to know if we can limit the number of sewer taps that a project gets.
So you want to know if we can control a municipality zoning?
No.
Well,
Can-
then explain to me where I'm missing this.
If they, you're not controlling their zoning, you're controlling the amount of resources that we're going to give them in and above what was zoned before. We've allocated with a plan from Public Works, R40 is going to serve that. Now, if somebody comes in and by some, act of a municipality, they can build 4 times the number of homes or even more. Does Union County Public Works have to veer from our master plan and provide those additional taps? Or can we have a discussion of that and approval from the Board of Commissioners to provide those additional taps?
We're talking about property that's in a municipality.
That's annexed into a municipality and the zoning is changed. Or if it were R40 in the municipality and they change the zoning that way too. When the zoning changes, are we required to give that municipality more taps and veer from our plan?
The key would be a deviation from the land use plan that was submitted by Public Works.
Right.
Or based on Public Works' land use plan in R40.
So, but if it's annexed, we don't have any control any longer.
That's the question. That's the question. Do we have any control over our sewer resources?
And again, we're glad to look into the issue. I can tell you, I know that there are some limitations. There is some case law that bears on the issue. Unfortunately, there won't be a case, I don't believe, that directly answers your question. So we're going to have to look at a lot of different things to come up with a good exhaustive look at it for you. I think I have enough of what you want to look into for us to research the issue and get back to you.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
It just seems to me like we're trying to overstep municipalities.
Well, I mean, if you said that, then it would be like the municipality is trying to overstep us by annexing it and rezoning it.
Not necessarily. I mean, if
We're providing the resource to make it possible for them to go to a higher density zone.
and I appreciate that. But if municipalities have an elected board, just like we're an elected board, and the people that put them in office entrust them to make the best decisions.
Right.
I don't think it is prudent for me, as another elected official, to tell another board that, sorry, I don't like your decision. We're taking our ball and going home.
Not necessarily like that. Think of it like a water situation. Like when we approach a county and ask for water, are they required to give it to us, or do we make a deal for them to give it to us?
Who?
I mean, any governmental body. We're different governmental bodies. So,
Who are we asking for water?
well, we've asked Norwood, and they've partnered with us.
Yeah, we've signed a lease and.
That's right. That's right.
So, but.
That's right. I mean, it's
I'm
no
missing-
different.
I'm missing
We're providing a service to the municipalities because we own the sewer. We're actually providing that service. So us as a board, since we're providing that service, do we have any control over that service we're providing, or are we compelled to give it to them just because they want it?
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I guess I just.
And it's
I feel
really
like
not
we're
an attempt.
Probably going on a slippery slope here.
Well, it's really not an attempt to override the municipalities, because we want to work with them, but we just need extra time sometimes to plan. They know what they're going to do sometimes ahead of what we know, and if we all had to be consulted on it, I think we can move earlier to plan for schools and things like that, and that's why the BOE is important to this as well.
And I'd like to say, I think it's a matter of managing our available resources and understanding better how we can manage those resources so we don't get back in the same situation we have been in years past. 12 Mile Creek has been a lot of work to get to the point where we're doing our expansion now, so we want to make sure that that we do manage our resources and work with our partners, the municipalities. And I don't think in my conversations with the commissioner, I don't think it's a matter of trying to control the municipalities, but just managing our overall resources. Is that a fair statement?
That is.
Any further discussion?
Just
Yes,
have
sir.
one- and let's take the municipalities out of it. Jeff, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, but is the question that you're asking and what you want them to research is whether Union County can establish a policy, the Board of County Commissioners can establish a policy that can limit or deny sewer capacity to whatever project, whether it be in a municipality or outside of one.
No, because we already have the ability to do some of that within our zoning, because if we rezone a property, then it's our burden, it's our choice, it's our decision. When a municipality annexes and rezones a property, that's not our choice. It's not anything that, we just have to provide the resource. How much of the resource do we have to provide? It's not, like, for example, commercial. If we had a big industrial park that we had been planning and working with economic development on, and a municipality annexed, gave a better deal to the owner, annexed it, made it residential, that would be a lose for the county, a huge loss for the county. So are we able to manage that resource that we own? And, with our zoning, where I live, we don't have sewer, so we only have R40, and we can only build with septic tanks if we perk. So it doesn't really, it's not something that's really affecting us as bad. It's just that when a municipality, if one vote away from getting a municipality who may go from completely anti-growth to completely full-on annex and, bring lots in and give higher density zoning, and can we provide that with the limited resource that we have and still have for commercial? Or do we just, do we throw our hands up in the air and say, well, they annexed it, there's nothing we can do? Or do we try to partner with the towns and say, listen, before you make a big decision like that, that's going to affect all taxpayers, we need to have a discussion, and at least a discussion. And it's not about picking winners and losers, because I'm completely against that. You and I know, from the agriculture industry, it's great to have that open space, and I'm all for sewer. I think it's wonderful that we can build on smaller lots and leave more wildlife areas. But it is something that we need to manage that resource better. And they could still build homes that wouldn't, and they could still use sewer. It's just the number of homes that can be built and what pace and what kind of cost it will have to the county taxpayers. That's what we're looking at. It's really nothing, again, to stop growth or to tell people what to do. It's just a planning tool. Use it can we use our sewer as a planning tool?
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion to go to our staff for additional information on this subject? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next, item 11, appointments to boards and committee. Appointments to the Union County Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee. Although the background is John Abuto and Miriam Wilkham served on the County Adult Care Home Advisory Board Committee, and their terms expired in October 2014. Both Mr. Abreu and Ms. Wilkins have applied for reappointment.
Motion to approve both for reappointment.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next, item B, we have the Union County Home and Community Care Block Grant Advisory Committee. Background: Kathleen Domaski and Jeanette Reed and Beatrice Colson serve on the Union County Home and Community Care Block Grant Advisory Committee. Their terms on this committee expire in December 2014. Ms. Domansky and Ms. Reed and Ms. Colson have applied for reappointment.
Motion to reappoint Ms. Domansky, Ms. Reed, and Ms. Colson.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. No opposed. Next, Ms. Manager, your comments?
Thank you, Chairman. If you'll just indulge me for a few moments. I think it's important to say a few words about Mr. Wes Baker this evening, and he was probably hoping that he would skirt out the door without me doing this, but Wes is retiring the end of this month after 15 years with Union County. And it's been my pleasure over the last 4 years to work with him. He's been a lifesaver more than once for me. Wes has done everything from being our internal auditor. He was interim county manager. He was interim assistant county manager. He was interim finance director. And he now holds the title of assistant to the county manager. And he is a wonderful resource to this county, to this community. He is a product of Union County, very devoted to this community, and probably one of the nicest, most genuine individuals I have ever had the pleasure of working with and knowing, and I will miss him greatly. He gave me 2 more years than he had anticipated when I first joined Union County, and I thank him for that, and you'll be greatly missed. And with that, just a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, since I probably won't see you all again till January.
Amen. Commissioner Jerry Simpson.
Wes, congratulations. It's a great day when you get to reach that pinnacle, and I wish you all the best in retirement. Hesitate not to say a word about the loss of Barry White. Barry was here, worked in general services, and I worked closely with Barry on the construction of the agricultural center, and we spent many days together. And Barry and his wife were actually, when my kids were in elementary school at Waxhaw Elementary, they were PTA presidents, and worked with them there as well. And so offer my condolences to his family, and he'll be missed. And I, like you, Ms. Cotto, wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Commissioner Akins.
Mr. Baker, we will miss you. You've been a lot of fun to be around these last few years, and I know all of Union County appreciates your last 15 years of service. And just want to comment a little bit about Commissioner Rushing. You know, my vote tonight as opposing this was more, not that I oppose the idea, but that when we start going down a legal path, instead of engaging in conversations with municipalities, I get a little hesitant. You know, I certainly don't want to be viewed as somebody who's overstepping my bounds. And so I think, you know, in my opinion, I would have rather seen us go and have a discussion with the municipalities and the various parties involved versus immediately seeking out legal remedies. With that, I wish everyone a good evening and a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Mr. Lance Simpson.
Mr. Baker, congratulations on your retirement. Everything I've been told, you deserve every bit of a wonderful retirement, and I hope you enjoy every bit of it. So thank you very much for your service. And I'll be very brief. Thank you for coming tonight, and I hope everybody has a very happy and enjoyable Christmas and New Year's, and a very safe, enjoy your time with your family. Thank you.
Vice Chair Rushing.
Thank you. And Wes, me too. You know, I've known you worked for you a few years ago, and now again. Maybe we can get these guys to arrest you and trump up some charges to keep you here for a few years. If Eddie will let you come over here and work, you could be assistant manager and be in the jail, right, Ms. Cotto? Is that
Sure.
right? Yeah.
We keep them around.
I appreciate you. You've always been a great gentleman to me, and thank you for your many years of service to the county. And again, Merry Christmas to everybody. And you know, this is, you know, again, excitement, a lot of excitement. You know, what we discussed here today, there was nothing. I mean, it was a big issue to me, but it's something that you know, I don't have any. I understand where you're coming from too. I completely understand that. I think it actually helps the discussion to ask hard questions on all sides. So thank you for, you know, and like I said, well, I'll get you to vote with me on something. We'll get
sure,
we voted on those appointments together. That's fine. Everybody that in the county, you know, just have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Look forward to spending time with my family, and I know everybody does that as well. And you know, we just have such a great place to live, and think about, you know, volunteering and giving of yourselves over the holiday season. We have a lot of organizations out there that could really use help, and a lot of people don't have it as good as some of us do. So think of those people as well during the Christmas season.
Again, Mr. Baker, appreciate everything you've done. Thank you for your service to our country. I appreciate that. But I know your bride is excited about you finally throwing in the towel. I think she has, from our discussions, I think she's got plans for you. So I hope they are enjoyable to you, and come back to see us. Also, I'd like to, it's been a tough month. I'd like to express my condolences to the McManus family in their loss. That was horrific, just like Sergeant Green. It's been a tough month for the county, but we do care, and our condolences go out to you. This morning I had the pleasure of having breakfast with Chairman Collins of the Board of Education. We started some dialogue. There is clearly interest from himself and many of their board members that we communicate, and I think I can speak for the board that we're looking forward to partner with them, working with them for the best of the county. But thank you, Mr. Collins, for taking time to spend with me this morning, and I look forward to our further discussions. I do wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a safe and happy New Year, and we'll look forward to seeing you in January. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.